Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, class 10th. Hope all of you are fine. As you know that we have learned our verbs and its types yesterday in our previous lecture. So today we'll continue our topic of verbs, and we'll learn finite and non-finite verbs today in this lecture. So let's start. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to learn the basic differences between finite and non-finite verbs. And then secondly, you will be able to do the objective exercise of your unit number 8, the poem Peace, on the use of participles. So first see that in our previous lecture we discussed our types of verbs. And these are basically, a verb can be in these 5 forms. A base form, then we can add s or es in to that, then we can add ing to a verb, then we can use it into past tense, and then we can use it into past participle. So you know that a basic verb can change it into 5 formations, and these 5 formations can be illustrated like this. First, see this base form, act. Past form, or the second form of the verb of the act, is acted. Then past participle form, or the third form, is acted. Then we use s or es or ies with the form in present indefinite tense. This is acts. And then ing form. So these are basically 5 forms that a verb can be changed into. Now see this some other examples of the verb formation into other formations of the verb, like beg, begged, begged, then begs, and ing form, or the participle form, is ing. So you will go through this table, and you see that all these 5 formations, 5 forms, are further categorized, are further classified into 2 basic groups: finite verbs and non-finite verbs. So once again, you see that a base verb can have other 4 forms, and total these are 5 formations, and these 5 formations can be grouped into 2 categories. These are finite verbs and non-finite verbs. So what is finite verbs? Finite verb is limited to a person. It depends on the person, it depends on the number of the subjects, and it depends on the person of the subject, and it depends on the tense. On the other hand, non-finite verbs do not depend on person, number, subject, and tense. So let's see in detail that what are the finite verbs. A verb which is limited by the number or the person of its subject, and also on the tense of the subject, it is called finite verb. The form of verb depends on its subjects. So you see that first you should know that what is the meaning of finite. Finite means limited, you know. Finite means limited or bound. तो इसको आप उर्दू में थोड़ा सा इस तरह समझ लें कि जो फाइनाइट वर्ब है वो अपने रिलेटिव्स के साथ बाउंड होता है, वो अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर नीड्स वो उनके साथ कोऑपरेट करता है, ही एग्रीज विद देम, और वो अपने आप को चेंज कर लेता है, जैसे उसके 3 रिलेटिव्स कहते हैं, वो अपने आप को चेंज कर लेता है, ठीक है. सो फाइनाइट वर्ब इज बाउंड, ही इज बाउंड बाय हिज रिलेशनशिप्स विद दीज 3 person, number, and tense. So these are some of the examples how this finite verb changes itself according to the person or the subject or the tense of a sentence. For example, here you see that base form is, base verb is play. They play football. Here we have used play because we use first form of the verb in present indefinite tense with plural they, plural subject, plural verb, right? Then he plays. Now we are using here plays because there is singular subject, so this play has also changed its formation because this is singular subject and singular verb. Next, you are playing football. This is present continuous tense. Here again this play, first play was changed into plays, and now this play has changed its formation into ing form. Then she was playing. Here again this play is being used as playing. So you see that the finite verbs are basically the verbs which can help a sentence to make tense. These are used only to make tense and they have no other function. So they are limited just to play their function as a factor of changing the tense. They always use to change tense. In other words, it makes a sentence complete. So you know that a finite verb makes a sentence complete, like I read a book. You cannot say that I a book, right? So verb which has a subject and change its formation with the tense of the verb, present, past or future. So these are the basic tenses: present, past or future. So the verb which changes its formation according to these three tenses, it is finite. Then it changes its number. It changes its formation according to the number. For example, I read a book, he reads. Here with singular he, it has changed its formation in reads. So you see that verbs, these finite verbs used in all the tenses are called finite verbs. Now come to the non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs do not change their form even when the person or the number of the subject changes, nor on the tense of the sentence. So in other words, जैसा हमने पहले देखा कि जो finite verbs हैं वो अपने जो three relatives हैं उनके साथ बहुत ही उनका cooperation है और agreement है, and they change themselves according to them, और वो उनकी help करते हैं, agree करते हैं, cooperate करते हैं. लेकिन जो non-finite verb हैं they do not cooperate with any of their relatives. So they do not change themselves, they do not change their shape, or they do not change their formation. They are always the same in every sentence. So they are not. Non-finite means they are not limited. They are not bound. They are not bound with any number or any person or subject or the tense. For example, see these. They want. Now this is the main verb. They want to eat something delicious. Now you see one more basic difference in the finite and non-finite verbs, that without a finite verb a sentence is incomplete, but where the non-finite verbs are not included in a sentence, even then that sentence can be a complete sentence. For example, if you remove this to eat, even then this will be a sensible sentence, like they want something delicious. It's a complete sentence. Now again see this, she wants to eat something delicious. Now you see that this verb, this non-finite verb has not changed itself according to they, plural verb, or she, singular verb, it remained the same to it. Next, he wants to play, they want to play. Now again, this finite verb, wants, is a finite verb. Finite verb has changed itself, its formation into wants, but to play has not changed itself. So you see that finite verbs are bound, but non-finite verbs are not bound by their subjects or their tense or their number. I mean singular or plural number. So next, see, they want to play football. Again you see that they want to eat eggs for breakfast. So you see that here the non-finite verb has not affected at all. उसको बिल्कुल कुछ असर नहीं हुआ उनके साथ के subject के साथ, उसको कोई बिल्कुल गरज नहीं है कि मैं उनके साथ कोऑपरेट करूं. So in other words, let's see the non-finite verbs in another way. That verb which has no subject, tense or number, right? It cannot make a sentence complete and needs help of the finite verb to complete its meaning. So you see, once again we have we have seen this, that a finite verb is important to make a sentence complete, but non-finite verb needs the help of a finite verb to complete the sense of a sentence. See this example. If you say that I to play cricket, so this is not a complete sentence. Now this to play is a non-finite verb, and it will be helped by a finite verb, only then it will make sense. I like to play cricket. So this is correct. First sentence was wrong, and now this sentence is correct because now this non-finite verb has taken the help of a finite verb, like. I like to play cricket. So you see that like made the non-finite verb to play complete. It doesn't change its form according to the person or number or a subject. Again, see the example. I like to play cricket. She likes to play cricket. Again, this to play has not changed itself with I or either he. So you see that these are three non-finite verbs: infinitives, gerunds, and participle. Non-finite verbs, as I have told you, that these are further categorized in three categories: the infinitive, the gerund, the participle. Now let's discuss all these three. Okay, what are the infinitives? First, as I told you, that infinitive means finite means limited. So infinitive means unlimited, unbound. So an infinitive is not bound to any subject, and it is not bound to any tense. It has no tense, no subject, right? Is a infinitive is a non-finite verb. It is generally preceded by to. इससे पहले to आता है generally, but not always. So और इसके बाद is a verb that is used like a noun, adjective or adverb. So it can be used as a noun, an adjective or an adverb in a sentence. So further, infinitives are of two kinds: simple infinitives and gerundial infinitives, which are also called bare infinitive. So see the use of simple infinitives. Simple infinitives are used like noun. They are called simple infinitives. Like to read is a good habit. It can be in the start as a subject. So now this to read, this infinitive is in the start and it has been used as a subject. To read is a good habit. To find fault is easy. So next, it can also be used as an object. I like to play. I like what? To play. So the answer of every what is an object. I like what? To play. So it is an object. He likes what? What he likes? To read. So you see that an infinitive can be used as a subject like this, and it can be used as an object like in these two sentences. Next, an infinitive can also be used as a complement to a verb. His greatest pleasure is to swim. Is. So the answer of is a complement of a sentence. His intention is to sing, right? So infinitive can be used as a complement of a verb. Now infinitives can be used with the it. It is a dummy. It doesn't have any meaning. It. So when we want to complete a sentence, we use this dummy. It is our duty to respect our elders. In other words, to respect our elders is our duty. Next, it is difficult to live without pure water. Next, it is legal. It is illegal to detain a woman in. All right. Next, see bare infinitives. Next is to is not used after auxiliary verbs. Next, except ought and used. Examples. I should write. He should write. I can do it. I ought to go. I used to play cricket in the morning. So see some other examples of bare infinitive. In active voice, to is not used with hear, see, make, feel, watch, and know. I heard her sing. Here, sing is bare infinitive. Next, I watch her go. Go is bare infinitive. She made me fool. Fool is bare infinitive. Now you see that we cannot say like this. I heard her to sing. I watch her to go. No. We have removed this to, and now this is a bare infinitive. To is not used after let. I let her. You will not say that I let her to sleep. I let them to play. I let him to come. Right? So we do not use to after let. To is not used in negative and interrogative with need and dare. I need not go. Dare you act like her? So these were the bare infinitives, and now come to your gerunds. Gerund, you know, is the present participle form of a verb, ing form, and it is used as a noun. So the basic function of gerund is to work like a noun. It is also called a verbal noun. Examples. Running is a good way to keep fit. The boys were tired of running. He seemed to be interested in fighting. I like reading books. So as both gerund and infinitive, they have the same function, force of a noun and a verb. So they have same uses, same functions. Thus either of them may be replaced with each other. You know that each of them can be replaced with each other. Like in this sentence, teach me to swim. Teach me swimming. Now here it is infinitive and here it is gerund. So these two can replace each other. Next, see the participles. Participles is the participle is that form of the verb which has characteristics of an adjective and a verb. So basically participle are used as an adjective in a sentence. So further participles can be categorized in three: present, past, and perfect participles. Now let's see them one by one. Present participle is the first form of verb plus ing, and present participle ends with ing and represents an action as going on or incomplete. Example, we met a girl carrying a basket of flowers. It was a tiring journey. The blind man, thinking all was safe, tried to cross the road. So you see here that here this present participle is working as an adjective. Again here in this sentence it was a tiring journey. Again it is working as an adjective. And then the blind man, thinking all was wise. Here again it is being used as a modifier. So next is part participle. It means third form of the verb. It usually ends in ed, d, or in a regular or in a irregular manner. It indicates about completion of task in the past. It is the third form of the verb, like she looks tired. The candidate selected for this post is my brother. Driven by hunger, she stole an apple. The house was burnt. He gave a written complaint. So all these are third form of the verbs, and these are being used as adjectives. Next, perfect participle. It indicates the ending of a task, and after that the starting of a new task. Perfect participle, how will you say that this is a perfect participle? Because it will be used with having or having been. You will remember this, that if it is in your objective paper and this is the third form of the verb is with having been or having, then this is perfect participle. Example, having done this, having seen him, having finished. Yeah, having been finished. Yeah, having been done my duty. So all these are perfect participle. You will remember this. Having finished my work. having passed the examination, having completed this project, he went for the picnic. So all these are the examples of perfect participle. Again, C is it formed by adding having been before the participle form of verb. Having finished our work, we went home. Having been loved by everyone, the child felt saved. So now let's see that there is always a confusion between gerund and participle, because the word is the same, but these are its functions that makes it different parts of speech. For example, it is a verb which ends in ing, and sometimes it works as a gerund and sometimes it is called present participle. Then what are the differences? Let's see. So this is a very important point, you will focus on it, that gerund is verb plus ing, and that works as a noun in a sentence. So where the ing form verb is acting like a noun, then it is a gerund. For example, walking is good for health. Then again, to confirm it that whether it is being used as noun, you will make a question of what. What is good for health? Walking. He goes for what? Walking. So the answer of what can be a noun or it can be an object. Next, see, present participle is also verb plus ing, but it doesn't work as noun. It works as an adjective and a modifier. So adjective. So see this. We may need walking stick at our old age. So here you will make a question which. So as I told you that to confirm that whether it is a noun, you make a question of what, and to confirm that whether it is an adjective, you make a question of which. So we may need stick. Which stick? Walking stick. So they are searching for swimming cloth. Which cloth? Swimming cloth. So here these are used as adjectives. So these are present participle used as adjective. So present participle can also be used as a modifier. Modifier means that what was the condition of that subject when you see him, what he was doing, it is a modifier. So for example, seeing the police, the thief ran away. Resting a while, he returned to his desk. Likewise, I saw a girl cheating in the class. I saw him running in the ground. So all these can be modifiers, and these are present participle used as adjectives. So now you must have understood that what are the basic differences between finite and non-finite verbs. So let's have a quick review what we have learned, that finite verbs are bound and they are limited by their subject, number and tense, while the non-finite verbs are not bound by their subject, tense and number, and they do not change their formation. And further, non-finite verbs are categorized in three. These are infinitives, gerunds and participle. And then we also learned that what are the further categories of participles. These are present participle, past participle and perfect participles. So now you will do these finite and non-finite verbs in detail in an assignment, so that all the things are settled in your mind before your objective paper and you can do it very easily. And this is your first task of making assignment, and second is that you will do the participle exercise B given on your page number 96 from unit number 8. Peace. Okay, thank you very much and take care.